Welcome to the Operation Motorsport Podcast. My name is Richard Davenport. I got Casey Soble with me here, Peter McDade, and Eric Toussaint. We're all beneficiaries of Operation Motorsport. All of us are immersion beneficiaries. Peter and I are also on the motorsport side, and Casey is going to be joining us against his will or on the motorsport side as
Yeah,
well.
buddy.
So we
Can't
have
wait.
two beneficiaries here from the U.S., two beneficiaries here from Canada, so we're covering all the bases. Since this is our first episode, I think it's important that we introduce those who are unfamiliar with the organization to the organization. So I'll turn it over to Peter here, and he can tell you a little bit more about OPMO and what we do.
When you leave the military, especially if it's medical retirement, like most of us, if not all of us, you lose more than a job. You lose your team, you lose your mission, and you lose your identity. For us, Operation Motorsport gave that back. They took us from the sidelines and put us in the paddock, not as guests, but as crew. Real roles, real responsibility, real teams. I'm Peter McDade, and this is the Operation Motorsports Podcast. We already did the intro, so you're very familiar with who we all are, and we're here because motorsports and military service have more in common than you think. Small teams, high pressure, split-second decisions, and everyone has to execute or it all falls apart. We know both worlds, and that's the lens we're bringing to the racing conversation. Today, we're going to be diving into several topics, so this is motorsports through a different scope.
Now, I'll just say we'll go ahead and give you our military backgrounds so that you know a little bit about where we're coming from. I think that's pretty important if you're another veteran, so you can see kind of the scope of who all participates and you know that this program is legitimate and we're not full of shit and like we're not trying to sell you anything. We all lived the lives that all of the veterans lived. Most of us have combat experience, whether it's from the air or on the ground. And so we're not here to blow smoke up anybody's ass. Like we're here to to legitimately heal ourselves and to help others heal and go racing, which is pretty incredible. I guess I'll start with me since I'm currently talking. My name is Richard Davenport. I served in the United States Navy and the United States Army. Had one combat deployment to Afghanistan, was blown up, received a Purple Heart, medically retired, all that. But yeah, so since I got out, it's been a struggle for me mentally. And I was kind of on an island and out by myself. I was really bad about self isolation, which I know I'm preached to the choir if you're a veteran, but Operation Motorsport helped pull me out of that self isolation. It gave me a network of people that I know that I could pick up the phone any hour of the day and someone will respond if I'm in a crisis or if I just need someone to talk to. And I think for me, as cool as the racing is, as cool as the sim racing is, that's the most valuable contribution that Operation Motorsport has brought to my life. And then I'll turn it over and I'll go in the order everybody is on my screen. So Casey, you're next.
Right, so I'm a retired Master Corporal Casey Soble. Did 19 years in the RCAF. It's aircraft mechanic and a technical training instructor on CF-18s and P3 Auroras. Did a few tours, lots of time stateside. But as my mental and physical injuries were kind of getting the worst of me, I found about OPMO. I actually have a bit different of a route into it. I was still serving my first year of OPMO and then kind of transitioned out of the military for my second year.
So what you already heard a little bit of, Peter.
So you heard a little bit from me earlier, but my name is Peter McDade. I am a United States Air Force veteran. I was medically retired as a staff sergeant back in 2013. And really, when that happened, I kind of lost my mission and my purpose for quite a while. And I found a lot of that in work, but that was extremely isolating. And I really didn't have many friends that I hung out with. I would just go home after work, do, video games, watch movies, not really do much aside from, maybe help out friends every so often here and there. And Operation Motorsports has really gotten me out of that routine. It's really gotten me out of my shell and really gotten me out there and building a network of other veterans that, I can help, they can help me. We talk, we pretty much hang out on the daily. And I absolutely love it because it gave me that team back, right? The immersion therapy has given me that hands-on experience that I don't get at work anymore. And it's really helpful because, you need both mental exhaustion and physical exhaustion to have a complete, shall we say, rest period, right? And so I really appreciate Operation Motorsports for what they've done for me and for all the veterans like me and all the veterans that you're going to hear tonight. So with that, I'll pass it on to Eric.
So Eric's having some technical difficulties. He's not here able to hear everybody, but Eric, if you can hear me, your turn to talk about yourself, sir.
All right. Well, what about myself? I served 24 years in the Canadian Forces. 12 of them I was a signal operator, which I really enjoyed back then. But over the years, as things change in the military, we change. My goals also change. So I decided to go SF, and from there, I became an operator and did also 12 years there. For me, Opmos provided that sense of team that I lost once you leave. You overnight can lose like literally your team, and that's the biggest loss that I think a lot of vets are struggling, especially from small team environments. So yeah, Opmo provided that for me, and it's definitely a life-changing experience.
I think for me to, I didn't mention my jobs. I don't know that it's really that important, but I probably have the silliest story of everyone here. In the Navy, I was a hospital corpsman. The combat deployment was in the Army, where I was an air conditioning technician, basically. I was what you call a utilities equipment repairman in the Army. So they used to give me so much shit in my unit because they said I was probably the only person in the history of my MOS to get a Purple Heart. So that's a funny story, I guess. But yeah, so you heard it echoed here repeatedly that one of the things I think that the military fails to prepare us for is that sudden change, right? Like, no one tells you, hey, you got to say you'll stay in touch and all of that, but in reality, it usually tends to not happen. Life gets in the way, whatever the case may be. So, an organization, even if it's not Operation Motorsport, finding a way to connect back to the veteran community, I think, is imperative for most veterans. There's some that don't want to do it, and that's on them. But if you're interested in staying connected with like-minded people, I think that it's imperative that you find an organization like this to help you out. So we had other technical difficulties. We had recorded this first episode once already back in November, and then we had to re-record it now. And what we had done at the time in November is we had just come off of what we called the Veterans Race of Remembrance. And traditionally, Operation Motorsport had hosted the event, or not hosted, but they had participated in the event in Wales. And there it's called the Race of Remembrance. I think 3 out of 4 of us had been there before to Wales. I know Casey and I were there in 2024. Peter, you had went in 2023, right?
So this was my first VROR,
Oh, really? So you
actually.
didn't get to go to Wales. I was
Yeah,
mistaken.
I did not get to go to Wales. No, they had asked me if I could, but sadly work got in the way. I needed to go to Switzerland at the time, so I wasn't able to make it.
Oh, I haven't been to Switzerland then. Yeah, so Wales was really, really cool, and it was neat to see the way the British military operated. Uh, you had something, Eric? You want to say something? No? Okay. It was cool because I didn't know that the British military, literally every branch of the military was represented with a race team there, and it was like top to bottom, drivers, crew, everybody were active military personnel, which was insane. Like I can't imagine the U.S. military doing something like that. But long story short, the plan had always been since the co-founders, Tiffany and Diesel, had went to Wales with one of the really important figures in Otmo lore, Greer Martin. He took them over to Wales way back in, I think, 2016 or 2017, and that inspired them to start this organization. But when that happened, part of their plan was they always wanted to bring an event like that to North America. And so that finally came to fruition back in November at Virginia International Raceway, where we had the Veterans Race of Remembrance. And so we had 4 cars entered there, 2 U.S. BMW. I'm not even going to try to say the exact model because I'll get it wrong. Peter can tell me.
M4 GT4.
Yeah, they have some weird designator. It's like 9. There we go.
F82 or
Yeah.
G92.
And so those were provided by Random Vandals Racing. Then we had two Mazda Spec Miatas. Those were provided by Power Sports Garage up in Canada. And then all of our cars, all four were finished 1-2 in their respective classes. Not to brag, but US got P1 in both classes. But that was really a great event, and would it be the first year? I can see the hope for the future, and I'm excited to see it grow. I can let everybody else tell their perspective on it, but that's kind of my perspective. It was just really cool to see something that was wholly our own that we can take ownership of and work to grow going forward.
Yeah, definitely. And if anybody wants to look it up on YouTube, right towards the end, you'll hear Carl Sparta, the owner and principal of Random Vandals Racing, right? He said any day of the week, any race that he's been to in his GT3 or GT4 team, our veterans performed just as good as most professional race teams, and we would have done the exact same finish with a larger field. As this was an inaugural race, we didn't have that many people around, sadly, because either it was conflicting schedules with other races or it was just the time of the year, people were out of the country for other things. And so, right, shifting that around potentially in the coming years, hopefully we have a larger field, but that just shows you how impactful this program is. We take folks from all different fields and services of the military from different countries. We bring them together on the racetrack and we make them an operational team again. It's just so
Our
great.
Sports Garage echoed Paul's sentiment as well. They said they trained guys for years to try to get to the level that our crews were operating at. And a thing I failed to mention about VRR and ROR is that the crews for those cars, from the crew chief to the fire bottle, are all 100% manned by disabled veterans. So there are representatives there from, in this case, it was Random Vandals and Power Sport Garage, but they're purely there as like subject matter experts in case
Mentors.
something like goes catastrophically wrong. But otherwise, the responsibility falls on the shoulders of the veterans. Um,
Yeah.
and
Yeah. And honestly, for some of our veterans, right, it was their first time working on a GT4. I come from a GT3 team, and that's way different. You have professional athletes as pit crew members, right? And you're not competing with them, you're watching how they operate. And that teaches us how to run the GT4 team so well in just a year, right? I only had maybe a half a season here, a half a season there on a GT3 team, but it just teaches you so much about how the teams operate and how they are coordinated, all the logistics, all the everything. And it just feels like you're a part of a team again, a part of an extremely high functioning athletic group of people that needs to be very close knit to make the mission
in
work.
the intros, we talked about some of the similarities, and I think that's one of the similarities with the military, right? It's like we're given a
Yeah,
purpose, we're given
definitely.
a task, a mission, if you will,
Definitely.
and we execute it, right? Like we excel at that because that was our whole military career. Uh, and there's
Yeah.
other similarities. If Nolan, one of our other guys, was here, he's in Daytona right now, getting ready for the Roar in the 24. He has a thing that he says, and I think he stole part of that from another beneficiary, Dave Bell. But they talk about how when you show up at a racetrack, it's just concrete and a racetrack, right? And then all of a sudden, there's a tent put up for chow. There's a chapel in place. There's medical. Like all of these things go up that are very similar to being on a fob or a camp if you're in the Marines downrange. So it's all things that we're familiar with. And you put on a uniform, right? Like you wear your billboards and all of that. Everybody's in a similar uniform. So it has a lot of similarities to the military. So the transition, you don't need to know anything about racing if this is something that you're interested in. The transition is not as difficult as you might suspect it to be, even if you don't have mechanical knowledge. And for myself and Eric, we're photographers, right? So we're not even in there wrenching on the car. Although I did turn a torque wrench once at VRR, and I did run the lollipop. Stole that job from Casey in Wales, but and I changed the brake. But
And like that's something hilarious that actually calls right into it, right? Because the US and Canadian GT4 teams, well, the Canadian side, we didn't have enough people between both teams to hit the pit stops the way we had it planned. So we had to enlist two of our team members that were helping out with different logistical functions to say, hey, can you, step in, help us out, be our fueler and our fire bottle for fuel stops with no
yeah,
training?
yeah.
And so we quickly trained them and
And
made
those
it
guys
work,
were
just like in the
esports
military.
beneficiaries. They weren't even immersion
Yeah,
beneficiaries. So that was their first
yeah.
time jumping in.
Ian and Casey, I
Yep.
believe. Or Ian and
Chris,
Chris?
yeah, Chris
Yeah,
Glendon.
Chris.
Yep.
Yeah, Chris, sorry.
So
One too many bunks to the head, as we all
so
have.
that event takes place on the weekend of Veterans Day. That'll in the U.S. and Remembrance Day in Canada, I believe, is around the same time. And so that will be the same plan next year. So you got plenty of warning now. If you're listening to this podcast, come out and support the event in Virginia. I'm sure is where it'll be again next year at Virginia International Raceway. So there's your plans for Veterans Day all squared away. So another thing that we had talked about briefly here was the e-motorsport side of things, and so we're currently on the ramp up to trying to plan next season's league race series. That'll be season 13 of Operation Motorsports Leagues, which began during COVID. We have a team that's been running endurance races. It consists of myself and Peter and several other guys. But you heard me mention this guy earlier, Dave Bell, Peter, and myself. We're going to try to. They needed help taking someone to take initiative and set up the program, so we're going to be doing that. And this is mainly Peter's brainchild, so I'll let him talk now.
Thanks. And so, just like Richard said, right, we're just going to step in, set up season. We're calling it season 13, just because it's all of our favorite number, just about. And we're going to do something real simple. It's just going to be like VP challenge at IMSA. We're going to have either LMP2, LMP3 at the top with our pro beneficiaries and VIPs. Then we're going to have our open beneficiaries in the GT3 class. And then rounding out the field, all of our open categories, our open pros and our opens that are kind of just coming in as folks from the outside who are applying to be part of the league. They're going to be in GT4s, and we're hoping it's going to create a lot of, good races, a lot of camaraderie, and a lot of education as far as, racecraft and how these cars can handle. Because with this mixed field, right, we're going to see a lot of different, shall we say, speeds through corners, etc. So if you have a LMP coming up on a GT4, well, that's going to be a very fun experience for both of them going through the corner. And so I really hope this kind of brings more of a rounded field to the league, and I really hope that our e-beneficiaries and our beneficiaries get a lot out of it this season, because that's why we do it for them. And as a e-motorsports beneficiary from the past few years and volunteering to help out with that, I just really, really want this program to grow and succeed over time. So we're going to try and make it easier for folks who are organizing these races and these series in the future, documenting everything so that it's just real easy to figure out. And hopefully this continues on for quite a while, but we're still in the planning stages, so stay tuned.
Currently, we're looking at for tracks. We're looking at basically the whole VP Challenge season minus Detroit and minus what was the other one?
Miami or Long Beach. I think it's one of those two.
So we would do. I'm going to miss some tracks here, sure as the world, but we would be doing Daytona,
Mosport. We're thinking about Watkins. We're thinking about
Barber.
Not doing Lime Rock just because GTPs on Lime Rock for our beneficiaries may be a bit too fast. So we're going to stay away from that short track and do Sebring. We're going to try and do VIR just like Richard said. We have Barber, Indy, Daytona, and I think there's one more, Watkins. Did I say Watkins yet?
Yeah, so Coda is on there.
Yeah, Coda. So Circuit of the Americas.
So basically, we're on the whole VP Challenge schedule, and then mix in a couple of the SRO tracks and most for the Canada side. So we cover all our bases. So that's the plan now. So that's open to anyone to participate. If you're not a veteran and you still want to come hang out with a bunch of veterans and race with us, just keep in mind though that it is a variety of skill sets. So you'll have real race car drivers down to people like me who are lucky to make a corner. So it's meant to be a fun thing. It's primarily was designed as a way for beneficiaries to stay connected with each other when racing wasn't happening, and so that's the primary focus of the eMotorsports League. We had Eric had some technical difficulties there, so Eric won't be around for the rest of the session here, unfortunately. But we'll get him back on. I know he's doing some pretty exciting stuff. He's going to the Toronto Auto Show as a representative of Operation Motorsport and as a representative of the podcast. So we'll get him back on to tell us all a little bit more about what he's expecting to experience up there. We wanted to take a second to give a huge thank you to really an organization that's been a primary sponsor of Operation Motorsport since inception, and that's CrowdStrike. But they went a little bit above and beyond this year in that they took the immersion beneficiaries that participated in the season and that were at the VROR, and they gave us all $500 each to buy gifts for our family for Christmas. And that was not CrowdStrike as an organization, that was CrowdStrike's employees coming together and individually saying, "Oh, I'll buy this item for a veteran, I'll buy that item for a veteran." And so I know for me personally, like it was really cool because I got to get gifts for all my kids that they wanted that may not have necessarily made it into their hands. And I think Casey got some as well. So I'll let Casey tell his perspective on it. But
yeah, it was awesome. Actually, me and Rich got to sit with the CrowdStrike crew at VROR, so it was kind of cool to meet with the employees.
Yeah.
I have a 10-month-old, so he got some cool new toys for Christmas. Just awesome. A thank you from CrowdStrike. So it's definitely appreciated.
Yeah, completely unexpected. And like I said, that was all, from what I understand, that was all employee generated. So
Yes. Yeah, it was all employee generated based off of wish lists that we, the leadership team passed up to our CrowdStrike fellows.
Yeah, so that was unexpected, and it's none of us, I don't think, get into this to be like, well, what can I get out of it? You know what I mean? Other than the experience, but that was definitely unexpected and appreciated, and can't say thank you enough to CrowdStrike and that whole team over there for all their support. It means a lot, and holiday season can be tough for a lot of veterans, and so that was just a little bit of a mental boost for all of us. So we sincerely appreciate that. And then
It was a great gesture.
No doubt about it. And then the last thing we wanted to talk about was, it's a long season when you're in motorsports, especially if you're in IMSA. It runs January to November pretty much, and October. And so the off season is getting ready to conclude. We have a couple of beneficiaries I know down in Daytona right now. We have some past beneficiaries down there. They're getting ready for the Roar and also for the Rolex 24.
Yep.
And then we have a lot of beneficiaries that are going to run the entire IMSA season. Yep. And then in SRO, we're going to have a bunch of other beneficiaries. And we were talking about Random Vandals.
But SRO changed up the track schedule, didn't they?
They did. So SRO had a long time running at VIR. And then
swapped out VIR for what track?
For Road Atlanta. So that's going to be a new change for this season. They're also testing at Miami, which I don't think they've done in the past either.
No, I don't think they've ever.
So it's going to be interesting to see how that impacts SRO. I love VR and I love Road Atlanta. It'd be cool to see them participating at Road Atlanta.
In 2023, they tested out NOLA at New Orleans, right? And I was at that race, and it was wet with all WET in caps and dripping. Yeah,
you could still get that at Road Atlanta. You never know, Georgia weather.
Oh, that's true
as well. So it could happen, but
yeah, that's true. But at least you see it coming. NOLA we did not see it coming at all.
Yeah, and so it should be exciting, I think. And we were talking about Random Vandals and how they supported us at VROR, and they've been a long-standing supporter of the organization. They usually take on several beneficiaries, not just one or two. And
thanks to Paul Sparta and V.
And if you don't know Paul, by the way, I think this is important to note. Paul was a actual fighter pilot, so he has a tie to the military there on that front as well. But so Vandals, they're actually expanding this year. If you've seen SRO or IMSA in the past, you might be familiar with Samantha Tan and Samantha Tan Racing, and she's partnering this coming season with random vandals, and they'll be entering, I'm pretty sure it's 2 cars in IMSA, 2 GT3 BMWs, and
Yeah.
then they'll still have their 2 GT3 BMWs competing in SRO, plus it's hard to keep track, but I think it's 4 GT4 BMWs participating in SRO, and then they'll
2 of
also
them with
have
our liveries on them.
Yep. And then they'll be participating in WRL with there's a new prototype car that they've got 2 of those running plus some GT4s there as well. So that's exciting to see the Vandals growing like they are.
It's going to be an amazing season. I'm really hoping to come back for a full season with one of these teams. It would be
That'd be cool.
just such an amazing thing, and it's so much. We've said it so many times throughout this entire podcast. We're so thankful, right? But this is huge for all of our veterans who are, just stuck in a rut, stuck at home, not really doing much, and it's just an amazing outlet, and it's an amazing opportunity for everybody to come together and to just have that one mission and have that one mindset and be part of a functioning team again.
And if you want to know like how you can be so disconnected from ever working on a car, like I was at CTMP for maybe 40 seconds and I was working on a Elvis Stoico's Revolution, like
Yeah.
never even heard of the car before. Obviously had never met the guy before, and like within seconds I'm touching a race car. So don't think that you have to have a background. It's just kind of surreal going into it.
Like I said, I'm a photographer, so I don't always have the most insight into how it works for these guys, but they can correct me if I'm wrong. But I think that the level of training that they give you, like OJT, when you get to the track, like they're never going to put you into something where you're going to cause a catastrophic failure and like everything implodes on the car. But they tend to be pretty good about easing you into it and letting you get your feet wet, seeing what you're comfortable with, seeing what they're comfortable with as far as giving you responsibility, and then that'll just grow as the season progresses. Is what I've seen.
Yeah.
To the point of we've had guys. My first activation was at VIR with SRO, and they had a guy that was his first time. They let him go over the wall, and he was actually changing tires on a pit stop. So that was pretty cool.
At VROR, this was my first time legitimately changing. No joke. It is difficult.
Mm-hmm.
All 4 tires in less than 2 minutes. Thunder gun in your hands that can
And
do
stressful,
750 foot-pound wrists. And
Yeah.
I work with computers all day. Single program manager, right? I don't touch cars. This is why this is amazing. And surreal. That's all I'm going to surreal. So please go to the site, operationmotorsport.org, look us up. Application. If you enjoy motorsports, you're who's disabled, who's like, well, I need something. I need something to go right. Let me do this. Fill out the form. That's all we ask.
And it's important to note too.
If you want to get like,
yeah, go ahead, Casey. I'm sorry.
If you want to get to know kind of what the program's like, if you happen to be in Canada right now, I think it only streams on Bell 5.1, but I did a full season from day 1, minute 1 of being at the track, what it was like, and then for I think it was 5 weekends there. So you can kind of see how it progresses from my showing up to the track, never touching a race car, to having a guy win his championship.
Yeah, exactly. Going in with CrowdStrike, having touched a race car at that level before, we legitimately won the championship that season at the Indy, the 6 hour or 8 hour?
8 hour. 6 hours
8 hour?
for IMSA, 8 hours for SRO.
Yeah. And going from eMotorsports, doing a 24-hour there to this, just go fill out the form, please.
And it's
Trust
important
us.
to note too, if you're thinking, well, I'm a disabled veteran, like I can't physically do that. There's other fits for you. So
100%.
don't think that like, well, I can't chuck tires over a wall or whatever. I
Yeah,
can't
you
lay up
don't need
under a
to.
car. You don't have
You
to.
do.
I mean, there's fits. Like I said, I'm a photographer. There's videography. You can do social media content. You can do marketing. You can
You could do fuels.
Yeah, you can do. They have hospitality, so you can work with Tiffany and Diesel and IMSA
Yep.
maybe, and
Yep.
help people run hot laps. There's a lot of ways you can get involved, and you'll still be part of the team and still have an important role. So don't rule it out. And we're recording this currently. It's January 1st, 2026. So it's a new year. never been a better opportunity. Never, we all make these New Year's resolutions. So this is an easy one you can do. It'll cost you nothing. Get out to a racetrack and come join us.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, you will not regret it. It's surreal.
Yep. And you can reach out. They're very responsive on social media if you have questions, or you can join the Discord and look for one of those people with a beneficiary tag. And if they won't help you, most of them will point you to someone who will, or just talk in the general chat and say, hey, look, I'm a veteran. I heard about this on the podcast or at the track or whatever. And somebody will come in and talk to you and give you a more thorough detail of the program.
Yep. Discord in the description for this podcast. There's a link to our website in this podcast. Any questions that you may have.
I think that's about it, fellas, unless anybody's got anything to add.
No, for this episode, under 30 minutes, so thanks y'all for listening in. We hope to see you tune in again soon. Get at least 100 listens this first episode, so please with that if you could. And Casey, any wise words to close us out?
No, just take the leap. Like a lot of
Take the leap.
people, they talk about it. Like I reach out to veterans a lot on the Canadian side, helping them with Veterans Affairs stuff and different modalities of therapy they can use. But this one for me has been the best. The hardest part is getting someone to actually fill out that form. So just take that little step, fill the form. You're not going to regret
Just
it.
because you fill out the form doesn't mean like, oh, now we got a gun to your head, you have to do this, right? Like you can still change your mind, and you can set like there is a half season expectation when you agree to participate. So like I said, for IMSA that's 11 races, you would have to do half of those. For SRO it's 7, you'd have to do half of those. Canada is what, 6?
I think
5?
it's like, yeah, there's 5 or 6.
Yeah.
So I mean, you're only doing 2 or 3
So
minimum.
It's a pretty low
And we
bar
got-
for commitment.
And Casey, remind me again, do we have NASCAR Canada as well?
Yeah, we got NASCAR last year, so that's a pretty cool thing to get to be around.
Definitely.
Canadian side isn't quite as high level as going to the American side, but when you hear NASCAR is going around, it's
Sick, dude.
it's a pretty
Challenge
cool
that.
thing.
I challenge that. It's better than the American side. And this is coming from an American, right? Why is it better? Because there's none of that drama.
It's really cool, man,
Yep.
to be up there. I was
All
up
about the
there.
racing.
I was up there twice last year, as Casey knows. I was there for the first race and the last race at Motorsport, and it was cool, man. I mean, you had the Trans Am series there. I got to see the Formula 4s rip around,
Yeah, definitely.
FF1600s. It was cool, man. I got to see a lot of cars that I wouldn't get to see in the U.S., and that was awesome. And I think that's part of the appeal on the Canadian side is that they don't just run like the same cars. Like it'll be different. It was different both races for me. I mean, you still had the NASCAR cars there, and you still had the Radicals, but outside of that, it was different cars. You had Trans Am, and that was cool. So I think it's cool, man. I think you're underselling Canada a little bit, but
Well, I think the thing about Canada is you're going to see there's lots of different cars and different levels. Still just as professional, but maybe just to a lower level of championship battles.
and as a last note, I would say it's important to recognize, because we didn't mention this earlier, Operation Motorsport is a 501c3 charity in the United States and an officially recognized charity in Canada. So they have no reason to sell you anything. So just keep that in mind, and like Casey was saying, fill out the application, and I think that's about it for us. I hope you guys have a great new year, and thanks for joining us.